This old guy DIY video has to do with the freelance engineering involved in taking a 35-foot long tree that I dragged out of the woods and turning that thing into the base for an osprey nest. So over the last couple of days, I built this osprey nest structure. As you see it here on the forks, it's upside down, but it's 36 by 36, made out of old treated 2x8s. And the plan today is to dig a hole over here someplace that's away from the tall trees by the water, but it still gives the ospreys plenty of room to fly around and get to the water since they're the ultimate fishermen. But the goal today is to turn this thing, which is nature's version of a telephone pole, into the base for an osprey nest. So I brought the chainsaw. My first step is going to be to cut these two branches off here and then figure out how to mount the nest structure itself to that little chunk of wood. As I'm digging the hole to accept the post, I put the hole down 4 feet. I put 2 holes next to each other and drag the auger back and forth. I'm going to use this post hole digger from Maynard's to clean this thing out. I'll put a lead-in angle on it and we'll be making some progress. A buddy of mine is out here with his phone. He asked Claude, artificial intelligence, if this was a good spot for a osprey nest. Claude says, no, it's a crappy spot. With all these trees, there's too much opportunity for the great horned owls and the bald eagles to harass ospreys. So I'm a doubter. Although Claude said it's a crappy place to put this thing, I'm going to put it here. We're going to see if any birds choose to use it. Now, as I dug this thing out, I tried to create a lead in, so when I pick up the other end of that post, the hope is that it falls down in that little trench, which then leads it to the hole. You can see we have some good water and mud down there. Based on this, I did not need to excavate as much soil as I took out of here, but we'll put it all together and see how it works out. Using the forks on the bucket here, I came in under the post and I just raised it up until it's just about in the middle of this platform, which is where I wanted it. Now I'll stick a 2x4 down through this side to tighten the thing up, and then I have a bunch of bolts. I'll just tighten these two pieces together. As I build this thing, this piece of 2x3 actually fit in there nicely. It looks like it makes a pretty good sandwich for me. So I'm going to just cut this off here, put it back together and screw it together. My Milwaukee impact tool didn't have enough power to drive through this board and then through the tree. So what I've decided to do, I've decided to come down right from the top. I'm going to use these 6-inch long, 1/2-inch diameter lag screws. I'll pre-drill a hole and just put 2 of these in from the top. That thing should be sturdy. Since this tool has the power to remove the front wheel nut from a 20-year-old Chevy vehicle, I have no doubt it'll take care of this 6-inch lag screw. In the name of giving the ospreys several roosting choices, we put this piece up there first with the 2 vertical members, and I grabbed another piece of tree out of the woods. Yes, I may have gotten poison ivy doing it. At least with this setup, whether anything moves in or not, I suspect birds of prey will be sitting up here on the end, hunting in the field. So I lifted this up with the bucket just to confirm it's rigid. You can see my bolt on that side, and the one over there is in flush. This thing is nice and tight and secure, so I think it'll make it through the wind with no problem. Now we'll see if we can stand this up. Here we're using the old realtor's trick. We want those birds to think that this housing unit has multiple offers. So my buddy went and picked up a bunch of sticks. We laid them in here as a nesting starter kit. Now we'll see if we can successfully lift this thing up and drop it in the hole. My great plan is to use the loader to lift the pole up enough that I can stick the ladder beneath it to hold it in the upright position. Then I can run a rope from right about here to the Suburban. Then I can take the tractor and swing so I'm coming in parallel to the post here, And with these two forks on the front, I'm going to put this post right between the forks so it can't fall left to right. Then my buddy will drive the truck and I'll drive the tractor. We should be able to put this thing into its spot just like a utility crew. Who knows, maybe it'll work. As we were putting tension on the cable to the tractor, I moved the tree a little bit so it actually went down its runway and started into the hole. So I think this is going to be a successful operation. My buddy's going to head up to the house, grab a drone. We'll put the drone overhead as we do this great engineering feat. As a safety feature, so the pole doesn't fall into the truck if something happens, I just took this piece of chain, ran it under the rope, around the pole, chained it on the other side of the box. I was tempted to edit this down so it looked like we got it right the first time. There are many things that happen in this little drone footage. You see the ladder falls down in front of the tractor. I saw it, but I still chose to run it over with the front tire. And then I thought the rear tire would destroy it, so I hop off the tractor here and get the ladder out of the way. And keeping in mind that that pole is probably between 12 and 1,500 pounds, as the chain got hung up here on that little lump in the pole, you can see the right front wheel pick up off of the ground and the right rear wheel also picked up. So I was leaning hard to the left here. Basically, as the truck was driving away, it was pulling the tractor up into the air. And I had my buddy stop. Then I got out and I moved the bucket down a little bit and I brought that chain down. After we had the thing positioned a little bit, since I had put the two holes side by side with that post hole digger, the post had freedom to fall to the left. And had I changed that angle a little bit, things would have been easier for us. But when it started falling to the left, then I had to stop him, go and unhook the rope from the back of the truck and have him get a different angle with the truck. So you'll see he does that once, and then ultimately we have to turn him all the way down so he's coming down towards the bottom of your screen. And then we were able to pull it into place. So if I had to do this over again, I would have run a chain from the corner of the bucket, for example, the right-hand corner of the bucket, out to the end of that left fork. And then I would have run one from the left corner of the bucket to the right fork, so I could have held those things more perpendicular. You see the whole load of that post with the nest on top was borne by that left-hand fork, and that was just held on there by a ratchet strap that has a 5,000-pound tensile strength. So everything held together, but it was a little sketchy as that was going on. As you watch this thing, you might recognize how good he is at understanding hand signals. And I talked to him after the fact as we were watching this video, and I said, man, I'm glad you were paying attention, because with the noise of the tractor and me hanging on there and feeling like the thing was tipping over, when I looked up, I'm just glad you didn't run away from me. He said, yeah, I wasn't watching your hand signals so much as I was watching the end of the forks. And I thought as long as I had the post within the length of the fork close to the bucket, nothing was going to happen that was either bad for the truck or bad for you and the tractor. You may have noticed the new angle with the drone. Another thing we learned on this adventure is if you leave a drone in a cabinet someplace, apparently because of the fire risk of lithium batteries, the batteries automatically discharge themselves to about 20%. So when he said, hey, let's put the drone up and take a look at this, every battery that he put into the drone showed only 40% or less of capacity. So as we did this thing, we had about 5 minutes of drone time available. And in addition, the 2 micro SD cards that I had were only 32 gigabytes, which is certainly not enough for the drone. So we needed better SanDisk cards with probably 128 or 256. We did the best we could with what we have. So he was able to operate the drone in addition to driving the truck from the driver's seat. At this point, you can see we got our final angle and we're making the last adjustments. He's driving towards the lake. I'm kind of eyeballing that post, trying to figure out when it's pretty close to being vertical. I'm kind of looking at the nest up on top, and I want to see that that's near horizontal also. But there was no rocket science involved here. It was just a matter of trying not to drop that post on the truck or the tractor and establish something that would be solid enough for those birds to hopefully nest up there and survive whatever kind of winds we get in southern Michigan. Perhaps the luckiest feature of the whole thing is the way that that little perch stick worked out. So I put that secondary stick in there, and when this thing was standing upright, it sits almost horizontal, so we think the birds are going to like it. And the morning after, the bluebirds and swallows were up there, but no birds of prey yet. This thing turned out to be a little more exciting than I was hoping for, but we have it pretty close. And what I've established today is if you put a 4-foot hole in where a 30-foot post is going, that's inadequate. So I'm going to have to put some guy lines on this tomorrow. And that little 3,500-pound tractor tipped over on 2 wheels when the chain got hung up on a hump on that post, but we salvaged that. So nobody got hurt. It looks like we have a platform that some kind of bird is going to want to use. I think we're going to button things up for tonight, and I'll finish it off tomorrow. My initial plan was just to throw the dirt back in here, but you can see there's a high water table, and with only 4 feet in the ground, 31 feet above the ground, and then the platform, I decided I'm going to throw some Quikrete in there. With the Quikrete in there making a big mushroom on the bottom, it should have more stability than if it's just stuck in that wet hole. It's kind of like sticking a toothpick into a brownie. Well, we're done for tonight. It certainly looks a lot taller when it's standing up vertically than when it's laying on the ground. I'm glad my buddy came over to help. My initial plan was that, I gave this thing so much thought that I can do it by myself. When I was telling him about it earlier today, he said, I'm only an hour away. Hang on a few minutes, I'll come down and give you a hand. I don't know if that's because he was willing to give me a hand or if he thought, man, you don't know what you're talking about, you're gonna get hurt. But either way, it's in position now. And I'm just leaving it like this overnight. We positioned it where we thought it looked pretty good. There's no sense in trying to use a level because this thing is twisted and whatever else going up. You really can't level anything, but you can look at it and get a fair feel for how it is. And I ended up putting the 3 bags of concrete from Maynard's in there. So we have 180 pounds of concrete. And then tomorrow I'll come out here and we'll have the post hole digger on the back of the tractor. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of birds decide to use this and how long it takes for them to decide it's worth something. And whether they use it or not, it was certainly fun installing it. Nobody got hurt. That little 1985 Kubota did its work again. I'm glad I got a chance to share it with you. Here we are the morning after. I'm going up that ladder to get my rope. I left the tractor down here overnight to provide some support in case a big wind came up. The concrete is set up and this thing seems pretty stable. So I'll go get my rope and continue on. As I was thinking about ways to secure that post so the wind wouldn't take it down, you can hear it's kind of windy here today. I crawled up on the ladder and I measured a 30-inch circumference where I wanted to put some type of guy wire. I decided to go with guy wires instead of going with 12-foot 2x8s for cost, because the 2x8s would cost about 14 bucks a piece. I had this cable laying around. I had the ferrules. I had the crimp tool. And this will allow me to put the choker around the post probably 15 feet high, where otherwise I would have been maybe 10 feet high. I thought since I use this technique for power poles, it should be just fine for an Osprey nest. At the end I have a 3/8-inch bolt. I'll just tighten that up to cinch the chain down, and then I'll cut the extra chain off with a grinder. Now I'll go back down there, climb up the ladder, and install this thing. The place I intend to put the chain around the post has a 30-inch circumference. So I put the first one on, then I just went 10 inches over, 10 inches over. So I should have these things roughly 120 degrees away from each other. I have the chain bolted in place. Now with this, I can go establish where I'm going to put the holes. I can dig the holes for the chain that will receive the other end of these cables, and I can get the tractor out of here, and I can allow the birds to try to get used to it while I'm waiting for concrete to set up and I do more work tomorrow. This purple martin house does a pretty good job illustrating how it blows around in the wind, and that osprey nest is going to deal with similar forces. So I only have enough concrete right now to do one hole, so I'm going to do that one from the west side first. And since the wind is normally from the west or the north, I should have it stable and the birds can move in if they want to. When I want to create an anchor that will last forever, I take a piece of chain, I cut that rebar to 8 inches, I just zip tied it on there so when it's in position before the concrete hardens it can't slip out. But I'll drop this chain down in the hole, pour the concrete over the top, and then when this sets up, effectively I have a 120-pound earthen plug. My technique is to drop that chain with the piece of rebar down in the bottom of the hole. You can see there's a high water table here, so it's already wet. And I put that piece of PVC across just to hold it in the center of the hole. Leave that chunk out. Now I'll get some concrete mix, dump it in there. I have 120 pounds of Maynard's concrete mix in there, setting up around that chain. Another nice thing about using chain for an attachment point is I can just run the cable right through there. I don't have to screw around with an eye bolt or anything like that going into a 4x4. And this chain concrete mix will be here after the rest of the world has gone away. Whereas eventually a 4x4 would have rotted out in 30 or 40 years just from the moisture trapped in it, because the way they treat that lumber today certainly is different than they did 30 years ago. I am out of concrete for now. I'll leave this sit till tomorrow. When I'm putting concrete into holes like this that have water in the bottom, I'll just dump the bag of Quikrete in, and I take a stick or a piece of PVC. I just go and poke around the whole thing, just trying to get the air out, and that stuff will set up nicely. So now I'll grab the second bag and pour it on there. Well, it's about 8:30 on day 2. This was the first one that I poured, so it's setting up. This was number 2. It'll be ready in the morning. Here's number 3. The bags of Quikrete from Family Farm and Home are 50 pounders instead of the 60 pounds I had from Maynard's. So I put 2.5 bags in each one. From a cost standpoint, effectively, we get 125 pound earth anchors for $12 worth of concrete, piece of chain I had laying around the house, and some leftover rebar. So let's call it 15 bucks per hole. I was considering using mobile home anchors, and when I was at Family Farm and Home getting this concrete, I priced those things out and they're 20 bucks a piece. So I think this is a much more rigid solution. It'll last forever, and it was very cost effective. We have an osprey nest. I'm pretty happy with the way this thing has come together. But it was fun making it. It's a little bit sketchy at times, but if you have an opportunity, might as well give it a try. It certainly is fun watching those birds if they choose to live here. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and I hope you have a great night.